Air raids. There's sirens. Warning of possible Russian missile attack. Quite alarming, considering the White House warned Russia that Biden would in fact be there. And they're like, oh, really? Boop. The trip was indeed gutsy, but will giving the Ukrainians another blank check. Is that really in the best interest of us back here in the U.S.? Joining me now to discuss, Virginia Republican Congressman and Vice Chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. Welcome to the show, Congressman Rob Wittman.
Kennedy, great to be with you. Thanks for the opportunity.
So the blank check is what is concerning to many Americans. There's so much money being pledged, but so little transparency. You are on the Armed Services Committee. Does that worry you?
Well, it does. I want to make sure we're supporting Ukraine, but we have to make sure we know where every penny of resources go, whether it's dollars or whether it's munitions. We've seen in the past where munitions get sidetracked. They end up not in the hands of Ukrainian soldiers, or as we saw in Afghanistan, in the hands of Afghans. That, to me, is something that has to be a priority. And I have a bill that would absolutely do that. It would create a very high-level effort within the Inspector General's office of the Department of Defense to not only look at the balance sheet about what goes there and what arrives there, but also to make sure we include the intelligence community. Because, Kennedy, it's not just saying that, 150 pallets of munitions arrive in Kiev. It's also, did they get to the front lines? Did they get in the hands of Ukrainian soldiers? The only way you find that out is to make sure that your military and intelligence efforts get you that information. That's what we have to make sure that every penny that we are spending is going directly to aiding the Ukrainians in their efforts to defeat the Russians.
Well, it's also just enough aid to keep the war going for at least another 10 years. The president talks about us. Is the United States actively involved in a proxy war?
Well, I think the United States is deeply involved in this, and you could call it a proxy war. The good thing, though, is I think strategically it's the right place for us to be, because if we were to allow Russia to march across Ukraine and take that country through this unprovoked attack on a sovereign nation, that would embolden Russia. And I do believe the next step would be against a NATO nation like Poland or the Baltics. And as soon as that happened, it invokes Article 5, and then we would be indeed involved on the ground. So helping Ukraine fight for themselves is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I think for not only the United States, but for the region, it's what we need to be doing to make sure that Russia doesn't have an open door to that entire region. I think Russia grossly underestimated what the response would be. They watched what happened with the Crimea and said, gosh, we can do the same thing with all of Ukraine, and essentially there won't be a reaction from the world. There is, and that, to me, sends a strong signal that this is unacceptable. It also sends a strong signal not just to Russia in what they are now having to face with Ukraine, but it also sends a strong signal to places like China that these unprovoked attacks are not going to go unresponded to.
Well, China is actually talking about brokering peace. Why isn't our government talking about an exit strategy and about peace more actively? Because that would be better not for Ukrainians, but for the world, so we don't get into a hot war with a nuclear superpower.
Well, Kennedy, you're right. We need a plan, and that's what Congress has been asking from this administration all along. What is the plan as we are putting resources into this effort with the Ukrainians and along with our European allies? What's the plan? How are we going to get to a point where we make sure that the conflict comes to a resolution that's in the best interest of everyone? If you don't see an end result, then yes, it could go on for a prolonged period of time. And the thing is, when you can't estimate what the end may entail, those uncertainties create a lot of problems. And I don't want to find ourselves in that area of uncertainty, because that's where chaos prevails.
Absolutely
and where
right.
Misjudgment, miscalculations also prevail.
Yes, and we see a lot of uncertainty here. I don't know if I trust anyone at the helm to bring certainty or resolution, and that's what worries me. Congressman, thank you for your thoughts and for your time.
Thank you, Kennedy.